officially making his acceptance speech after winning 98.9% of the votes. There in your live shots, you have the former president who has just finished addressing a gathering at the University of Development Studies. We can get you some live pictures of what's transpiring there now, as of course the former president has just concluded a statement making a number of promises and giving assurances to the people of Ghana that indeed their votes will count, and also asking Ghanaians to canvass for more votes as he seeks to make a comeback in the 2024 general elections. We're of course going to be monitoring developments live there in Tamale, where the activities are happening, and also bring you up to speed with what's happening there. But I want to bring in at this point one man who's also been monitoring the exercise, a national executive of the party. Let's speak to the deputy national organizer of the NDC, Elikem Kotoko, who's joining us via Zoom now. Thank you, sir, for your time. So we've seen John Mahama set the stage for what is likely to be the NDC's theme for coming back into the 2024 elections. He says that he is ready to build, asking the NPP to start preparing their handing over notes. It's as though he's ready and confident that he is taking over in 2024. Why not wait for the other side to also complete their reorganization exercise?
Thank you so much, Bless, for having me, and also to your cherished viewers. I think President Mahama knows the task ahead, and he knows Ghanaians have a certain expectation of him. It is just right that immediately after being declared winner, he lays his boots and kick the ground running by delivering his acceptance speech, and significantly from the northern region, which is one of the core strongholds of the party. And so it was just proper that he made that sound warning, send that sound warning, and also declare to the Ghanaian that, look, I am the one you can trust. I am the most experienced. I'm the one with vision. You see, he did mention that we want vision with experience, not experiment. And you would agree with me, as well as your many viewers, that this economy has been experimented with by textbook economists for far too long, and it has actually sunk us deeper into the mess or the ditch we find ourselves. Today we cannot find the man, but we only hear a lot of rhetorics, blame games, and not taking responsibility in any way for any of their actions. Meanwhile, we are here because we have leadership that has failed and disappointed Ghanaians.
Of course, when we talk about the decision, many are now pointing to possibly why John Mahama will decide to make his acceptance speech in the northern parts of the country, particularly Tamale, where, of course, he has been reported to have some issues with the MP for the area. We've seen that handshake there on the stage. Is that to signify that all is well with the party, and that all that's happening at the parliamentary level may not cripple John Mahama's chances of coming back?
Those are very baseless, non-existent accusations or allegations being leveled by persons who find it difficult to see the strength of bond between President Mahama and the people in the in Parliament, etc. I'm sure you are referring to Honorable Haruna Idrisu, and let me not shy away from the truth to say that there's absolutely no friction, none of such between them. You would agree with me also that ever since their change and all of that, President Mahama and Honorable Haruna Idrisu have maintained and continue to engage each other and have a very good, cordial relationship. The choice of the northern region is only because it is one of our strongholds. And come on, it's an icing on the cake, knowing the fact that our flag bearer also comes from the north. And so, and the hitting of the ground should start from there. As I speak with you, some officials or some other persons will begin to take the campaign to the doorsteps of people. It is not only going to be door to door this time around, but rather occupying every available space that is occupied by humans.
The promises John Mahama is making, by the way, has raised a number of questions. Why make these promises when you had the opportunity to be president before? It's the question on the minds of a lot of Ghanaians asking, what would be different now? You had the opportunity and you're still making promises as of now.
When you take the unsolved metrics in marketing, the unsolved metrics gives you in the fourth block indication. And what I want to focus on is President Mahama's character as an existing product, but finding itself in an entirely politically new environment. The dynamics are different, which is why it's a new environment. He is more experienced, and the most experienced of all who will be contesting for that position come December 7, 2024. There's nobody that will be contesting the elections that will be more experienced than John Dramani Mahama. That is one fact we must make Ghanaians know. He has experienced it, and he has sat back 2 terms, 8 years, to observe as well. He has equally learned his lesson. He has realized that, for instance, promises such as making sure that the number of ministers will be limited to 60 is very doable, because a regime that told us that they had a problem at hand with 125 ministries could not solve our problems. And therefore, he is making Ghanaians that promise that, look, this is not the first time he's saying that. He said it the last time at Kempinski also, that he's going to make sure that he does that by sticking to 60 ministers. He also did say a lot of things about jobs in the agri and agribusiness sector. These are things that are not rocket science, that requires just basic understanding and appreciation of the challenges that are confronting us as a people in this country. And therefore, when he is talking consistently of reforms and transformation, that is as a result of the fact that as a leader, he has sat back and found out that, look, a lot of reforms will help us. And it is starting with even he himself. That is why he did mention of Article 71 office holders. And he did tackle corruption head on. You would agree with me, as well as many of our viewers, that President Nana has contributed immensely towards the growth of and development of this country. And so he is finding avenues to make sure that they get involved in governance, and so that they are not ostracized and made to feel like they are outsiders rather. So, and don't also forget lastly that he also did mention that there will not be ex gratia. Those are very bold steps to take by a leader. Don't forget President Akufo-Addo and his vice president made a lot of rhetorics that have actually is now biting them. But you know John Dramani Mahama, for one thing, he does what he says. He walks the talk. And so it is not surprising listening to what he was saying. And you could sense that there's some relief listening to a leader for once in a while. And if you in the media even do your fact check, you realize that this is a true leader who is speaking facts and very sincere to the Ghanaian, not one who will say otherwise and will not be backed by any facts. When we want to go back to cross-check, we'll be realizing a lot of anomalies.
What's next for John Mahama? Now he's the leader of the party. What processes are you putting in motion as a political party? I cannot tell how long, but soon he would as well consult. He will continue with consultation with stakeholders, Council of Elders, leadership, and nationwide consultation in selection of his running mate. And the choice of running mate also matters most to him, because that is, apart from the fact that it's the constitutional provision, he is required to do that to ensure that this is somebody he is comfortable with, somebody he trusts to be competent enough, somebody he trusts that can complement his effort to secure victory for the NDC come December 7, 2024. Are you suggesting at this point that the good old professor may not be retained by the party?
I have never said any such in any slightest opinion. All I'm saying is that the prerogative lies with President Mahama to settle on a running mate. As to whether it should be the very good old professor who has helped him even improve on his records in terms of number of votes in the last elections, compared to the 2016 elections, the choice still remains his as to whether he thinks that Professor Jane Nana Opoku-Agyeman is still credible, competent, and best fit to be his running mate to garner more votes the way she helped him do in 2020.
And why not automate the process? Why do you have to go through the process again of choosing who may be the next vice presidential candidate of the party when, of course, this is the same team that went into the 2020 elections. Is it the case that you're not confident and that factors may change, which will warrant the need for a new face as the vice presidential candidate?
This is just a constitutional provision per our constitution as a party, that after the flag bearer is elected, he then gives his acceptance speech and given some time to actually make known his running mate. And therefore, it is just the same way as we will say in the national constitution, that when you take office, there's a transition period or you declare assets. You don't say that because the same regime took office in 2017 and has taken office in 2020, and therefore they should not do what is mandated by the constitution. In effect, then you are saying that we should not even swear in the president again because he was the same president from 2017 to 2020.
That's not what I'm suggesting. You know the import of my question too well. You've been disrupting a lot in terms of the establishment. And when I say that, that's also the fear of some experts, that almost everything has changed about the national leadership of the NDC. You've changed not just at the political level, you've done that in Parliament. You're retaining John Mahama. Many say just go with the second choice for the 2020 elections, who happens to be the professor. Any change may affect your fortunes. You agree?
I agree with you, but not entirely. However, let me tell you that my personal opinion is that I do not see President Mahama changing Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman. However, that power cannot be usurped by me. It is the prerogative of the flag bearer to do so, because a lot of pros and cons comes to mind. Many people will say you need a succession plan, you need somebody who can take over to also become president, but forgetting that President Akufo-Addo was not vice president of John Kufuor, but he has become president. And therefore, some of the analysis, though I wouldn't say are baseless, have some merit, which will all be looked at. And it is the reason why the most credible person whose intent matters most is the flag bearer himself, who needs somebody credible, competent, and fit for purpose that he will be very comfortable with to operate as president.
And you say that process is starting when?
Oh, the process is in motion. So long, the very moment he's been elected, he knows himself that the next thing for him to do is to settle on a running mate who he deems fit. And that, I believe, has begun even in his mind. I won't be surprised that even while delivering his speech, there would have been some points where he would have wished to say, we, myself and my running mate, but he knows he doesn't have now. And therefore, he would say, I, knowing very well that that time would also come and he would say, we, in reference to both he himself.
Okay, Elikim, let me make you a bit uncomfortable because it's a conversation that's been on the tables for the NDC. This sharp divide about getting a running mate from the Volta region as part of moves to, first of all, affirm your commitment to what's known, widely accepted as your stronghold. The belief is that by choosing a vice presidential candidate from that side, you'll be solidifying your gains for 2024. Others think otherwise. You're taking notice of these arguments?
I am a proud Ghanaian from the Volta region. If a running mate is chosen from the Volta region, I would say hooray. I'll be very happy. However, it is not the sole yardstick for the regional, coming from Volta region cannot be the sole yardstick to have a vice president.
Yeah, but I'm saying this because you are aware of the conversations going around.
Frankly, I am not. I'm being very sincere with you. I am not.
No, that's surprising. Of course, even before the 2020 elections, there was a coalition asking for the vice presidential candidate to come from the Volta region. You're well aware of this.
I haven't heard of that coalition again.
That's strange. Again? Are you saying again?
Yes, I haven't heard of that yet. I haven't heard of that.
Yeah, but they used to exist. They used to exist. You agree?
Well, in the past, I recall there was such. That is why I'm telling you that, fortunately, you are even speaking to me, a proud Voltarian, born in Abo, lived in Abalavi, schooled at Agbozume and from Amfuega. You get my point, 100% away. So I'll be very happy to have somebody from the Volta region. But that alone cannot be the yardstick. I will be too tribal to want it to be solely a Voltarian. We want somebody who is best fit for the purpose, who can make the the president or the flag bearer comfortable. And therefore, he will scan around. The NDC is not in short supply of competent brains, men and women. And therefore, it is never a problem. It is one of the reasons why, if you have noticed, there is always consensus in times of this nature within the NDC. Definitely, as a human institution, people will have their preferences based on either relation, network, or some other variables. However, there could only be space, there can be space for only one person. So the flag bearer will definitely choose only one person. Some may not be so happy, etc. But we always find a common grounds to unite and agree that we must all agree to what the flag bearer believes is the case. I am sure you would agree with me that when even Professor Nana Jane Opoku was chosen by President Mahama the last time, some people also opposed, etc. They had their reservations, which was competently okay. But as we moved along the line, you saw how everybody jumped on the wagon, and our results were better than even in 2016. That alone is a strong message and a strong signal to tell you that in the NDC, there's no discrimination based on race, tribe, etc., but rather we are an equal opportunity provider to anybody who proves he or she is capable.
Okay, give us a sense of who matters most in terms of bringing to bear influence on John Mahama if he floats the thought of who is likely to be the next vice presidential candidate for the NDC. Within your structures, what process will that go through?
From my background, even as a student of marketing, I would say that, like you said yourself, why change a winning team? And I have given you an example.
That's not what I'm asking about. I know you too well. I know that, of course, you would advance your arguments, but it's about what's happening within your political party now. The search and the conversations around who becomes the vice presidential candidate. I'm just asking some of the likely processes. Which factions or blocks or structures within the NDC will exert some level of influence on John Mahama?
There is definitely going to be a search that is supposed to be spearheaded by the flag bearer himself. Possible candidates' names may come out. In fact, even if you as a member of the party watching us believes that A situated in XYZ is the most preferred candidate, you can actually submit that as well in order to give a consideration. And therefore, the whole process is so free that it is to allow for wider consultation. That is why I told you that the flag bearer will be the first person to do that consultation within himself. Who, I kept saying some things, who is most credible, who is more competent, and who would I be very comfortable and deem fit for purpose. So when he looks at all these checklists and okays a particular candidate, one or two, he may suggest that, okay, I want to go with the same flag running mate I went with in 2020 because I don't see any reason for a change. We even improved on our records compared to 2016. Or I want to change. Or because we still believe that we want to open the door for our women in order to get them walk through and promote gender advancement for our females. Let me still keep to Professor Nana Jane Opoku. Or I think that based on A, B, or C, I want to look this way. So I cannot be in the head of President Mahama, but I know that the search is ongoing from his end. The Council of Elders, the leadership will also be involved at various points in arriving at this. And I mean, you know it very well, the way it went the last time. It is the same process, and eventually it will be another beautiful ceremony to outdoor even the running mate.
And that will be?
The time will be communicated soon. That will not be so long because we are battle ready and we want to get to hitting the ground.
So it will be Jane Nana Opoku.
It might be, but I'm not saying it is. I hope you understand.
I mean, what did she bring to the table during the 2020 in your estimation?
Okay, Professor Jane Nana is unblemished. He has an unblemished record. You can't find a dent on her, number one. Number two, she's from the academia. She has lived her work, you know. She's not just a talker. She has worked at she was the first female vice chancellor as well. She has held other positions as a minister of education, and that alone is not enough. The icing on the cake also is that she's female, which is a strong trump card for a political party in this current dispensation where we are advancing the he for she and all of that.
I get that.
And so
all of that, I mean, yes, give it to her in terms of the credit. But then, for instance, when I was speaking to the chairperson of the party a while ago, when the changes were made at the parliamentary level, he pointed out to regional balance, right? So the national executives would obviously be mindful of that as you draw the attention of John Mahama on who possibly may be the vice presidential candidate. You now have the Central Caucus taking over the majority leadership in Parliament. Changes have been made at the national level with some positions going to all sorts of regions and everybody taking their portfolio within the national leadership of the party. So giving that account, the fear is that it may not go, politically speaking, back to the central region.
Well, I don't know who is entertaining that fear, if it is you or it is our party.
I'm not a delegate of the party yet.
Because I can tell you on authority that our delegates are not entertaining such fear. Rather, they are only looking out for the most competent, credible, and person who will make fit for purpose and make the flag bearer comfortable in running the affairs of this country. Because, mind you, the NDC is not only hopeful, we are very sure about victory come December 7th, and we are sure of forming the next government come January 7th, 2025. Therefore, President Mahama is not just choosing a running mate, he is choosing a vice president.
Okay. Just hold on for us. A lot developing this afternoon that you'd, of course, have to respond to. Dr. Duffuor's camp is also out with a statement on the entire exercise. They've been speaking about the process. First of all, with Duffuor himself denying claims that he may be running independent. So let's get to the statement then, as we have it coming through from Dr. Kwabena Duffuor. He was the one who withdrew from that exercise on the eve, allowing that two-way race between Kojo Bonsu and John Dramani Mahama. So the statement reads that I have become aware of some concerns from rank and file of the NDC that I intend to leave the National Democratic Congress to form another political party. I wish to state that I have no such intentions. I remain committed to the NDC as I always have been. The NDC is my home, as it is for all of us, and I will always remain loyal to our party. Let's come together towards the cause of victory for our party and progress for our nation. The NDC belongs to us, and we have a charge to keep its flame burning. So let's get to work. When I joined the race for the flag bearership of the National Democratic Congress, I was motivated by my desire to actually see our party thrive as a political party of choice for every Ghanaian. Today, that motivation remains unchanged. Like many before me, I understand the collective good of our party and the fact that it overrides our personal goals and desires. The internal contest of ideas we engage in is simply a means to a common end. That is to build upon the hard work legacy that we have come to meet. But if there's any more I have gained from this period, it is the deepening of my love for this great party from the stories of people I was privileged to meet on the campaign trail. As such, I remain committed towards the cause of the National Democratic Congress, and as I've said in times past, for as long as our quest for a better Ghana endures, he will continue to support the party. Then he continues to say that as Ghana's leading opposition party, the Ghanaian people are looking up to us to deliver the much needed political change this country needs. This will require us to upscale our vigilance and insist that the right to democratic processes are followed before, during, and after the 2024 elections. It was in the spirit that I insisted that we address the challenges that were fraught with our voters register and the photo album, which resulted in the withdrawal, in my withdrawal from the presidential race. If we are to succeed as a political party in reaching our goals, we cannot afford to compromise on our founding ideals of probity and accountability. Those virtues are the torch which guides our party and gives purpose to all we do. Without them, we will lose our identity and our ability to hold others accountable in similar circumstances. So, excerpts of the statement released by Dr. Duffuor's team. Elikem, just hold on for us. Let's hear from Antonio Ashinyo. He speaks for the Duffuor campaign. Thank you, sir, for your time here on the Pulse. You're still pointing out to some irregularities that have fraught characterized this whole exercise. Why are you insistent on that as the Duffuor campaign?
Listen, good afternoon, and good afternoon to my brother Elikem. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, sir.
Okay. The thrust of that statement is to reinforce Dr. Kwabena Duffuor's commitment to the NDC and to put away all rumors or consent by the rank and file that he's going to go independent. So that is the thrust of that statement. Dr. Duffuor is going to continue to be an NDC member, and most importantly, he's going to continue to invest in the grassroots through his Samoto project. He's committed to doing everything to ensure that he works with everyone in the party for us to win the 2024 elections.
And when you say that he remains committed to the party, except to say that the ideals of the party are being tested and tried now, as you put out in the statement, of probity, accountability, is it the case that he does not find the NDC? Is it the case that he does not find the NDC the exact way its founders left it, with the ideals of probity and accountability, as you're pointing to in that statement?
Dr. Duffuor is a loyal NDC member. He was not satisfied and still not satisfied with some concerns that he raised with the party, and he did not feel that the party addressed them correctly. He responsibly decided to engage the party's Council of Elders and party leadership. At the time, he needed to make a decision whether to contest or not. He had questioned the photo album, whatever you want to call it. It would not be right for him to question the process and still be part of it. So on principle, he decided to withdraw. He did not tell party people not to go vote, but he registered his displeasure. And it's important to note that the party, I am sure, has learned lessons, and going forward, we will get it right. So we can decide to move on and build a party in order to restore power come 2024. So the thrust of that statement, I want to re-emphasize, is to answer the question whether Dr. Duffuor is going to stay in the NDC or going to go independent or join any political party. I am telling you on authority that Dr. Duffuor is doing no such. He's going to work with the NDC to ensure that we win power come 2024.
And I guess all of this is coming out because of his political future and what the options are for him now. Elikem just talking to us a few minutes ago about what the next steps will be, and that John Mahama is looking for, well, not necessarily looking for, or maybe looking for the next vice presidential candidate. How about taking that job? Dr. Duffuor may be a fine vice presidential candidate material. You know that it will be about the economy, as you're saying, in 2024. Why not take that job, by the way?
Dr. Duffuor, to start with, that decision would be coming from the president in consultation with others. Dr. Duffuor does not need necessarily to be vice president. What Dr. Duffuor is looking for is for a stronger NDC that is able to govern this country properly. He believes the NDC is a better vehicle than the NPP. Of course, we do have different opinion on how to arrive at our destination. But as a political party, we've selected the leader, and we hope that the political party would win and not necessarily the leader. So what he's looking for is the collective interest of the NDC, not the ambition of any particular individual, including himself. So if you realize what he's talking about is building the structures of the party, making sure that we are vigilant, and he's exhibited it through his action. He demonstrated that he would be able to protect it. And the party, I'm sure, can learn from this experience and become stronger. So Dr. Duffuor's focus is mainly on the strength, building a stronger party and collectively winning, not particularly an individual ambition. That's they are entitled to. But his focus now, as Dr. Kwabena Duffuor, is to make sure that the NDC is stronger, the grassroots is empowered, and we are an attractive, sustainable political party.
And will he not be shooting himself in the foot by supporting the NDC and its re-election bid without necessarily endorsing John Dramani Mahama? And what's strange is that after the internal contest, we have Kojo Bonsu, for instance, reaching out to John Mahama, congratulating John Mahama on his 98.9. John Mahama says it's 99 virtually percent of victory. And yet, Dr. Duffuor has not made any statement. First of all, congratulating John Dramani Mahama, or at least making a comment on the outcome.
The NDC is a political party made up of millions of people. The contest, as you have it, was between Kojo Bonsu and the former president. There's no reason for Dr. Duffuor to endorse or call anyone to congratulate anyone because he wasn't part of the process. So the expectation or the call for it means that the 4 million people or 5 million people should be calling the former president to congratulate him. There's no basis for that call. What the focus should be for every party member is how the party is going to galvanize to win power come 2024. And that is what Dr. Duffuor is focused on.
Why are we pretending about this? This is one man who was in the race, pulled out on the eve of the elections.
We are not pretending about it. The fact is that the contest was between two individuals, Mr. Kojo Bonsu and the former president, John Dramani Mahama. That is a fact. So Dr. Duffuor has no basis to call anyone to congratulate anyone when he is not part of the process. He wasn't. He did not contest.
But
the focus should be his commitment to the larger group, which is the NDC. And the leader of the NDC is John Dramani Mahama. However, he is carried by the party. So if the party is stronger, John Dramani Mahama inevitably is stronger. So Dr. Duffuor's investment, whatever he does, is to the collective good of the party. And the former president is the leader of the party. There is no need to personalize it. It's an institution, it's a collective.
Okay, except to say that you need to fill the candidate.
Exactly.
Who is John Dramani Mahama?
Yes, he is.
I see. Just hold on for me. Let me get the thoughts of Elikem on this. Elikem, you've been listening to Antonio raise a number of concerns. And what's key in that statement has got to do with the ideals of the party, probity and accountability. It appears you've not shown that through the internal exercise. I mean, John Mahama winning by 98.9% or 99% virtually. I mean, that's almost like 100% of the endorsements coming through from all members of the NDC. It's a bit artificial, isn't it?
Thank you, Bless. There's nothing artificial about that. It tells you how democratic the process is. You see, that is why when Dr. Duffuor raised concerns about, I heard my brother also talking about a photo album. I am so sorry, but let me put it on record here that the primary document for the election exercise or electoral exercise was the delegates list, which was the same thing presented to all candidates, including then candidate Duffuor, which he used to crisscross this country to campaign. I strongly respect him as a statesman, having done the needful by coming out clear to diffuse some of those wild allegations about he going independent, etc. And I'm so sorry, but to put on record that if people around him who are speaking for him and on his behalf and doing his PR are saying that there's no need for he to even call President John Dramani Mahama, I am sorry the people around him are the ones stoking the fire. Because you and I know that as a statesman, Dr. Duffuor doesn't need to have been a candidate before even reaching out to John Dramani Mahama to congratulate him. That is one known fact. As young as we all are, this is a basic logic we all know. And you don't mean to say that because the NDC has 5 million people, so or 5 million will be calling. You would agree with me that by now his phone is buzzing and a lot of messages are going in there. And for a spokesperson for Dr. Duffuor to now rather come and say that there's absolutely no need to even reach out to John Dramani Mahama to congratulate him, that I am sorry is unacceptable.
He says the commitment is to the party interest, right?
But you see, who is heading the party at the moment? Who is leading the party? The point of the matter is that, Bless, for instance, when you decide to even speak to the NDC, you can't just say you are speaking to the NDC. Nobody's called the NDC. You chose to speak with myself and Adam. I'm the deputy national organizer. Would you say I want to speak to the party and the party itself will speak with you? How then would you be able to reinvigorate the base, the party, the grassroots, when you have not been able to even call the flag bearer to congratulate him? I'm so sorry. I have found this to be very petty and needless. There could have been a professional way to have done that. Either to just say it was done, or he definitely will be doing that, or intends to go and visit him rather than place a call. But to say there's no need, I am sorry. That is a disappointment to people who speak for Dr. Duffuor, and they have let him down. The people watching us can tell plainly that that is an unacceptable communication out there.
Oh, but he's working for the man who's put out the statement. He knows too well what Dr. Duffuor is feeling now.
That is why I'm telling you this. Because you see, when you were reading Dr. Duffuor's statement,
yes, precisely.
I was so wowed. I was happy from the very beginning to the very end that indeed this is a true statesman and person who has the ideology of the party imbibed in him and who knows the right things, have held stronger positions in the party before. And so if you had wanted to be, and you see, when Dr. Duffuor had a challenge with the process, the NDC didn't need to do too much talk. The NDC rather had to put the work in action so that in the entire process, Ghanaians will see for themselves. Did you hear people complaining that my name was not in the register? I didn't. No, it was a very smooth process, which tells you that the NDC's position that the delegates list was the primary and authentic source document for the electoral process is still so valid. And that was why the album, which was just aimed at enhancing the process, was not a basis for which you call up. It is okay to draw cold feet and find some straws to lash onto anyways. But then I feel that Dr. Duffuor has shown leadership, an exemplary one for that matter. But his spokespersons are damaging him more.
Antonio?
I will ignore those emotive comments from Elikem. To start with, Elikem that is not a consultant, Dr. Duffuor. He does not advise us. The position that we've taken, and it is not a personal position, it's the candidate's position, is that there is no need. If Elikem is expecting us to make a call, or expecting me, Antonio, to make a call, he should say so. I am speaking for Dr. Kwabena Duffuor, and I'm saying that Dr. Kwabena Duffuor has not placed any call. He does not intend to. His commitment is to the party. And whatever the party decides to do, that is what will be done. So Elikem must calm down and know that we do not take advice from him, and we do not intend to, because even him, as a party official, he understands. So we respect that. So we've also taken a decision. You cannot refer to that decision as petty just because you do not agree to it. That is what is unacceptable. Your choice of words. Describing someone's decision as petty means that you are basically you don't tolerate different opinions. Dr. Duffuor is not. He has not called the former president.
And will not, I guess.
That statement he has issued is a commitment to the party and to ensure that we are ready for 2024. We don't need to fight over this. We've moved on.
Bless, may I come in here?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can you imagine the irony that my boss will not reach out to the leader who has just won the elections, but my boss is ready to deal with the party that the leader is coming to lead? Tell me this is not petty.
I don't know how you arrive at that logic. And that's what we keep saying. There is no need personalizing this process. There is no need at all. He opted out of the competition. He was not a participant, so he's not ready.
He doesn't have to be a participant.
Elikem, just allow Antonio to land on the point, and then I'll allow. Yes.
Thank you. The person had already questioned the process. He's opted out. So what's his business commenting about the process or the outcome of it? On principle, he has no business commenting about it because he has questioned the process. And this is he being consistent with principle, something that most people have lost.
Okay.
Antonio, if I get your point right, the Duffuor campaign still does not recognize John Mahama as the legitimate leader of the NDC. Is that the point you're making?
Elikem, will you allow him to ask the question?
Okay, yes, let me do my job. Elikem, allow me to ask the questions. Yes. Mm-hmm.
What's the question, please?
Yes. So if I'm to get, the import of what you're saying, you're basically saying that the Duffuor campaign still does not recognize John Mahama as the legitimate leader of the party.
No, that's not what the statement that we've issued states. The statement we have issued is in response to the rank and file concern that Dr. Duffuor, and we do not know who engineered that anyway, because we saw it in a news article that Dr. Duffuor is going to go independent. He's going to go form his own party or join the MPP. And we are saying that none of that is happening. As we speak, we just finished the election. The party just finished the election. Oh, fuck. It's off.
Antonio?
My phone.
Oh, apologies. We've lost Antonio there. So that we'll reconnect with him. Okay, so let's wrap up with you, Elikem. We have a few minutes to go. So your final comments on this. Yes.
Bless. You see, I would have to reiterate this again, and this is not to personalize it. I said that the handlers of Dr. Duffuor are doing him damage because such commentary is divisive and very unprofessional. If, for instance, you are saying that because Dr. Duffuor pulled out of the race, He therefore has no locus. He will not even call President Mahama to congratulate him. You are in effect saying that you are even still questioning the legitimacy of his elections. But you feel that you would go around him through who to actually do work for the party. I am so sad to say that this is not rocket science, and your viewers would agree with me on this. But that aside, I must say that Dr. Duffuor's statement came right on time. He has, in his own statement, rather done so good than his handlers who are speaking.
Okay, let's leave that aside for now. And of course, we'll reconnect sometime later. Elikem Kotoko, Deputy National Organizer of the NDC, joining us. And Antonia Shinyo speaks for the Duffuor campaign. So that's it about the NDC. But